Welcome to A Day with FMZ, a global initiative to bring in leadership perspective across countries. And we also have education series to focus on upskilling and reskilling. Today we have Jim Caldwell, our leader, to share his thoughts from industry perspective. And my co-host Lisa. Welcome Lisa and welcome Jim. And over to you, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. Jim, thank you for joining us. Um, you're kind of a different kind of an interview for us today, a different kind of an FM leader. I think what you do for the FM career line is fairly unique. So let's start with about a bit of information about that. Can you describe what your role is and what your goals are in the work you do?
Sure. The the company that I have is a nonprofit called Workforce Incubator, and I've been working with IFMA since I guess 2014, which is interesting. Um, we're my nonprofit is a workforce intermediary. What we do is we look at high demand, high skill, high paid jobs, and we connect educators and industry folks so that they can build a talent pipeline. And so that's what I've been doing with IFMA since 2014. And a couple of years ago, they asked me to become a trustee on the IFMA Foundation, and so I've enjoyed that. And mostly what I've been doing is working on opportunities that have been identified in the 15 most critical areas where there's a FM workforce shortage around the United States. And so that's been really good. Usually these programs are grant funded, and it's quite an interesting process. First of all, you have to win the grant in order to make something happen, but that's turned out to be really easy. I mean, because FM is such a great sell. I mean, it's like who wouldn't want to, have an FM talent pipeline if you're a government entity or a funding organization that's looking to make a difference in, the economy and in the the shape of the workforce. So we've been very successful in winning grants simply because of what FM is. And then the real work begins where we engage the Global Workforce Initiative Advisors, JLL, Sodexo, and ABM. They're sort of the critical mass of hiring for the talent pipeline programs that we build. We engage the chapter to get local employers on board. And then we'll typically have a local community-based organization. We've been using Goodwill in various places. We've used a place like an organization like Hot Red Kitchen in New York City. And what they do is they help recruit from underserved neighborhoods, underserved communities, so that we're building greater diversity into the FM workforce. I should go back. That's the most recent past. Starting back in 2014, I was working with the California Community Colleges system, and we built a couple of programs there with colleges where you get your associate's degree in business with an FM certificate along with that. And so it's a particular course of study that aligns with the 11 core competencies that IFMA looks at for fully competent facility managers. And so that's been a great model for us working with the community colleges. And it was pretty interesting because the business school students often don't know what they want to do. I'm going to go into business. And so giving them something specific like facility management, with the median income over $100,000 a year, that's something that really is attractive to business school students. So it's been a great ride since 2014, and I really enjoy the IFMA, the integrity, the transparency, the ethics. It's just a great organization to work with, both the association and the foundation.
That's awesome. Thank you. It's wonderful that you're bringing that opportunity to so many people.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good. I mean, basically, I'm approaching it a little differently. The real value, because IFMA is an industry association, and the foundation, of course, supports that. The focus has been on employers and really understanding what their needs are. So that's been my priority. And if you do that right, then the students really get a good job out of it, and they make tremendous progress. There are lots of great success stories. So,
Nice.
um, and I have to take a quick intermission here because I'm not seeing the chat for some reason. Probably want to edit this part out. Um, how do I get to the chat? I mean, I'm looking at it on the right. It says chat with everyone in the studio, but then I don't see anything else.
You might scroll. If you're not worried about it, though, we'll just go on into the next question.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So let's give a little pause here so that she can edit this. Then when you're ready, Vinay, you can go on into number 2.
Thank you, Jim, and covering on how do we build talent pool in an FM, especially from a not-profit organization, working with multiple organizations, and you work very closely with the IFMA Foundation on programs to develop the new FM's talent pool. Right? What do you can you please describe some of these programs and efforts and the impact that they are having on the FM industry? I think this is one of the noble work we are doing to bring in more FM talent into the industry.
Yes. So basically, the success comes in teaching the essentials of facility management, which is an introductory course, and then along with that, OSHA 10 for occupational safety and health. And those two things combined are a very, very good stepping stone for folks who have the right background to an FM job. So that's a relatively quick way to get in to the facility management profession. And I don't have numbers to say how successful this has been. I do know that in California, Chaffey College, which was the very first that we did a community college program with, has been operating for 5 years now. And so they routinely, every semester, have about 20 new graduates entering or available for hire as facility managers. So that's indicative of what's going on. And employers line up to hire these graduates coming from Chaffey College. It's been very successful. Some of the other programs are newer. We don't have those kind of statistics, but it's been very effective.
That's impressive. Good numbers. So to find these students, what are the keys that you're finding to attract new talent and to prepare them for working in FM? So you're giving them the education, but what is the key behind the ones that are successful in moving into the profession?
It's really a combination of things. I mean, first of all, they need to have some relevant background. You know, they've been in a technical job, or they've been in, say, a real estate position, property management, maybe even in logistics or accounting or something like that. Something that aligns with the 11 core competencies of facility management.
Right.
So finding folks with that kind of background is important. And then, of course, the motivation to really learn and to complete and is always a key thing. Part of that then becomes soft skills, because in order to get hired, you have to have a good resume, you know, to even get an interview. And then you have to be able to perform well on the interview. And so
Right.
those are all essential elements. And of course, the employers have to be there ready to hire. So we developed a number of capabilities to help in the soft skills area, and our our partners, the community-based organizations like Hot Bread Kitchen or Goodwill, are very good at assessing people who might have a background that would be a good fit with facility management.
Thank you, Jim. I think you covered it well. It's very important to keep attracting the new talent and also show them the roadmap. What advice would you give to a facility management organization about the benefits of hiring the talent that is coming out of programs like you mentioned earlier?
Yeah. So I think traditionally employers have found folks within their organization to put into facility management roles. I mean, it's not a destination job for a lot of people, right? So, you might be, you might be anywhere in the organization, and somebody thinks that you have the capability to be a facility manager, and so I think that's really fairly common. What we're actually doing is we're creating a platform, some basic competencies that predict success in facility management. And I think the biggest part of this, the most exciting part for me, is the apprenticeship program that has been approved by the U.S. Department of Labor for facility management. We're calling it the FM Skills Accelerator because that's really what it is. I mean, it accelerates once you're hired as an apprentice. It accelerates your development. And the way that works is in a period of 18 months, you go through some instruction, quite a bit of instruction, 162 hours, plus work-based learning that's associated with that instruction. There's competency-based milestones that you have to meet and so forth. And the bottom line is that someone completing this apprenticeship in 18 months, that's a typical timeline for completing the apprenticeship, is 18 months, and they earn both an FMP and an SFP certification. So they're very highly qualified at the end of 18 months. And we recently had a focus group that had a number of executives in the facility management area look at our FM Skills Accelerator, and they were very excited by it. And there's some cost associated with that. And they said, hey, it's a no-brainer, to get that level of expertise within 18 months. It's a really small price to pay. So very exciting. And we're just now getting started. I have a few apprentices already enrolled and looking forward to their success when they complete.
Just a quick follow-on question. Do you have to make much of an argument about employers being worried about training up the staff and then having them leave?
Yes, that's always a concern. So the Department of Labor has statistics on that retention rates are much, much higher for an employee who goes through an apprenticeship program. What we're also finding is that employers don't necessarily give first priority to hiring somebody as an apprentice. They give priority to looking at someone who's already on an FM team, or someone they would like to be on the FM team, and someone that they know is going to perform. And they reward them by putting them into the FM apprenticeship program, the FM Skills Accelerator. And that's really the preferred method for a lot of employers.
So that loyalty is already built in there.
Already built in, yeah.
That's fabulous. I appreciate what you do. It's very unique and bringing a lot to the FM industry. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor to be a part of the IFMA family, and I just enjoy the people and the work so much. Thank you very much.
Vinay?
And one other thing, Jim, I think now we have seen the dynamics typically as an FM, as an organization, the way it has transformed in last 2 decades, right? It's enormous, and the kind of critical, it has become one of the critical functions within the organization, supporting all other core areas of organization. When you design these kind of programs, what are the elements you consider? Because what is relevant today may not be relevant tomorrow, considering this hybrid workplace, technology integration, workplace experience, employees' well-being. How do you define or redefine the courses or the programs which can suit the current need. What is your thought on creating that roadmap, Jim, from a larger perspective?
Yes, well, I think what's happening with a lot of companies is that they're looking at greater and greater levels of automating their buildings, and I think that's the next challenge. What we find is facility managers have a huge job. They tend to be uh, burdened a lot by day-to-day things, right? They've got a checklist of things they have to do. They've got routine maintenance. They've got customer inquiries. They've got trouble tickets, and so spending time on strategic things like bringing more building automation into their facility is really hard to achieve. So it's a matter of both uh, competency, actually understanding how these technologies work, and capacity. Having the time, and so that sort of gives you an indication as to what the workforce need is. Being able to bring in new people, or being able to put people through an apprenticeship program to add capacity to your facility management program to deal with some of these larger demands that have to do with climate change mitigation and things like that. And the IFMA Foundation is on the forefront of that. We were recently given NGO status, this non-government organization status, with the United Nations in the area of sustainability. We align with all 17 goals that the United Nations has for sustainability. And that's a real tribute to the FM profession, is that the kind of contribution that we're making to mitigating climate change is really significant. And I'm excited about the opportunity to help the FM profession continue to advance along the lines of sustainability.
That's huge.
Thank you, Jim. I think it's very important for organizations to look at building the right talent pool. Second thing is upskilling and reskilling. And definitely, I would like to take some of this to India and to look at how we can develop and build programs like this. And as the industry progresses, as industry itself is very dynamic, and it's important for all of us to make this as a career choice for the people, right? So graduates should feel that I want to build a career in this facility management. I think it's all collective responsibility. All of us have to build that, as that it can be a choice of their career. So that's what we all need to put in. I'd like to thank you, and you've been doing a great job and a noble cause. Definitely a lot of learning for us to implement here. Thank you for joining us today, Jim.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.